What's up, everybody? So yesterday, I tried to do several videos yesterday, man. I had a long day, and just didn't get a chance to really make a good video. So, good morning. I just woke up, getting ready to go to work, and I wanted to talk about something yesterday that really it hit home yesterday when I was listening to another YouTuber, and that is for people out there who have a big brother, okay? For people out there who have a big brother and they understand that their big brother is responsible for a lot of their competitive success, I should say. And my older brother Xavier, which is my stepbrother, my father married his mother. When I met Xavier I think was 12, 13 years old, and I was about 8, 9 years old. So when I first met my older brother, I had not an athletic bone in my body. I was a typical kid that played with toys. I really stayed indoors. And when I met my older brother and my younger brother Devin, they were outside country kids. They played outside all day. Check it out, guys. Check it out. So on my way home from work yesterday, I told y'all I walk with my head down a lot, right? And it's just natural. I walk with my head down, and I have found $100. I have walked with my head down, and I have found $35 before. I've walked with my head down and found free sacks of weed on the ground. I've walked around and I have found cell phones, all types of stuff, man. I just walk with my head down. I don't know why, but check it out. Look at all these things. Look what I found yesterday on my way home. And even though it added about 20 pounds to my load, I said, man, I can't pass that up. I guess during the storm, all of this stuff got blown, I guess, into the street. So I picked them up. They are a little ruined, but these are comic books. Thanos. Check it out. Isn't that cool? They are all just sitting on the side of the road. Not sure if they're worth anything, but I am interested in reading them. Just to do something else. This one's still in the wrapper. Just to do something else besides playing the game and stuff. Take my mind away from certain things. But yeah, man, all of these comic books. All of these comic books. Like I said, some of them are ruined, but for the most part, they're in decent shape. So, but anyway, my older brother was somebody who, he made you feel embarrassed. Because when I first met them, I told y'all I was an inside kid. So when I met them, I had to learn how to split up my time in which I entertained myself between playing with my wrestlers and stuff like that. I was a huge wrestling fan. And then I had to drop a lot of that stuff to then go outside with them and do what they were doing. Which I told you, they were kids that went outside and they rode bikes all day long. They would just ride bikes, go to family members' houses and whatnot. And I had a hard time keeping up at first. I remember it would be times where they would be 500 feet in front of me because I didn't have the stamina. The way they would ride bikes, they would just keep pedaling and pedaling. They never really just cruised. They just kept going and going. I'm like, dude, do y'all ever cruise on these bikes? So it was tough as a kid trying to keep up with them. I finally got used to it. And the lifestyle that we ended up being interested in was just a lifestyle of BMX and one mixtape, things like that. And we did typical things like break furniture, break picture frames. We did a lot of things that most families that raise boys grew up doing. And of course, my older brother received older brother treatment unlike anything I've ever seen. For those people out there who know what I'm talking about, when you've seen your older brother get away with certain things, you know, that's just how the cookie crumbles a lot of times when you have an older brother. You're gonna watch certain things go on like, are you serious? You let him get away with that? But nevertheless, my older brother was a gladiator. When I first came to this small community, I did not have to worry about trying to fit in a way in which, as if I didn't have nobody. Meaning, when I first got to this town, my brother let it be known, telling people, hey man, I remember my first incident where I had to tell my brother about somebody potentially bullying me. And when I told him that, my brother, I mean, you would think he was already in a bad mood. My brother was like, okay, I'll take care of it. And we wasn't raised, you know, that was one thing my father used to always preach. Don't get in other people's mess, okay? Don't be the guy who wants to ride for his homies and you getting yourself in something when before that you wasn't even in trouble. If your partner, your friend, or whatever get in trouble, let them get in trouble. That's the way we were raised. So, when my brother told these people, hey, I'm gonna tell you one time, leave them alone. Leave them alone. It made me very, it allowed me to have a relationship with my older brother that I trusted him. You know, my brother never walked around telling everybody, oh, don't mess with my brothers, don't do this, don't. My brother did not do that. My brother minded his own business because he was already on a path where he was pretty much raising himself. My parents worked a lot. So when they would be at work or choir rehearsal or Bible study or something, my older brother was pretty much responsible for us. And with my brother being someone who enjoys the sports and stuff like that, a lot of times you would have to really just participate in whatever my brother was doing. You know, for people who know, before cell phones, we would go with my brother everywhere. There came a time where my brother was getting in a lot of trouble. And because I was a struggling kid in school, they always thought that, oh, you want to be like your brother. You want to be like your brother. And I would always make it known, like, no, I don't. You know, you guys don't really know anything about me. And it's clear to see because I don't want to be like Xavier. And there was another guy, Papa Dickerson, related to Eric Dickerson. But I idolized him more because he had the nice 300 car, the 300, you know, the Chrysler 300. He had a Cadillac. He basically had that Southside Houston lifestyle in the country. And then coincidentally, my brother Devin, he idolized a kid named Thomas Lang, aka we call him Bud Lang. And Bud Lang was the exemplary black athlete. You know, Thomas Lane was a track star. Thomas Lane was the quarterback. Thomas Lane had the academics. And so, coincidentally, that's who my little brother wanted to be like. And, you know, we see now that how life turned out. He wasn't too far off. He wasn't far off at all in regards to making that decision and as far as his intentions later on in life, wanting to be like that. My younger brother Devin, a lot of times, Devin has a father from Jamaica, and that was from his mother's first marriage. And Carlton is a no-nonsense type of man. He comes from Jamaica. What he says, what they call the bush. I guess the bush is like the Atlanta, Georgia of Jamaica. And so Carlton had a tough time raising Xavier because Xavier was a renegade. Xavier was raised by my stepmother, his mom, and really the street. So Xavier had to learn a lot of things on his own, even though my dad was present. My dad worked a lot. And my dad is not a vocal instructor. He's not somebody who just takes the time out of his day to call you and bring you to the side and say, hey, look, this is where I see you struggling and let me help. No, he's not that type of person. My dad was the type of person that he would have to get very angry for him to say, all right, enough is enough. Let's talk about it. And by that time, you done probably done something to really get yourself in trouble. So when my parents would be gone from work a lot, one of the things that we did was, it used to thunderstorm a lot. I mean, the first probably 3 years that we lived in this small town, it would rain probably every day. I mean, during that time as a kid, I thought the world was over. That's how gloomy and rainy and storming all the time. That's how it was. I was like, God damn, dude, any day now, we gonna see a twister that just comes snatch up this whole trailer and we gonna die. But during these times, what we would do, we would turn on the karaoke machine and we would sing karaoke, or we would take our mattresses and we would stack all our mattresses in the middle of the hallway, run from one end of the hallway to the other, turning flips. And that was one thing that my brother taught us, is acrobatics. Jumping off of stuff, flipping off of stuff. We used to go crawfish hunting when it flooded and rained. Most people stay inside. We went outside. And, you know, my brother had this thing where if you didn't want to do something, and normally Devin got this treatment. If you didn't want to do something and my brother was like egging you on to do it, egging you on, whatever the term is, he would make you feel very, very insecure, very empty, very lonely, because he would do these things where he would say, well, don't talk to the other one. If Devin don't want to do this, don't talk to Devin. If CJ don't want to do this, don't talk to CJ. He'd play us off against each other. So, in some ways, not all, not a lot, but in some ways, my brother created that atmosphere of competitiveness. If Devin can do a backflip off the wall, why the hell you can't? And again, this is before cell phones. So you had, there was a little bit more of an eagerness to want to make my brother proud. So we would have these competitions amongst each other where we just constantly doing things in a competitive nature. Anything. One of the things that my brother was doing, and I didn't know it, was when we were young, he would always make us play against him. Like, there would be times where you're like, man, let's be on teams or something like that, because we would go next door and play with our neighbors. And we would always be like, man, let's be on teams. And I didn't know what my brother was doing at the time, but my brother was strengthening his skills as a basketball player and as a football player, because my brother never wanted to be on the same team, ever. And early on, I started being the kid that, and it happened even when I got older, that everybody thought I wanted to be on my brother's team. I never wanted to be on this team. It was something in me that was like, I already know everybody gonna pick my brother first. I know how this goes. So I was always the one that's like, nah, you know, if I so happen to be on his team, you know, whatever. But if not, I'm not gonna cry about it like everybody else. But one thing my brother was doing was that he would love to play 4-on-1, 5-on-1. He would be like, all of you guys can go against me. And at the time, I didn't know why he was doing that. But as I got older, I'm like, if you would have seen my brother play basketball, my brother was the Steve Francis of my community. My brother was raw. Left hand, right hand, left hand layup, right hand layup. I remember I seen my brother do that same 360 layup MJ did the same thing. I've seen my brother dunk on top of people, literally sitting on top of their heads. If he was to pick his feet up in midair, he could have sat his butt cheeks on top of your head. That's how high that dude could jump. My brother was a freak athlete, bro. You know, you know, he taught us a lot of things that my brother Xavier did not have a present father outside of my dad. So Xavier really just taught us the art of competitiveness. You know, we used to race on feet. Who the hell does that anymore? We used to just line up in the middle of the road and just bust out running. We used to tell my dad used to tell Xavier, like, you can't beat me in racing. Xavier was like, man, you crazy. And my dad smoked Xavier. Why and how? Because my dad understood technique when you're running, that you're not supposed to be running with your arms flailing. Everything is supposed to be just like this, and you pumping your feet as you're running. You're pumping your feet. And Xavier used to be just a wild run. He used to be like a chicken. Run, you know how chickens run for a little bit, they flap their wings, they run for a little bit longer, they flap their wings. That's how Xavier used to run. So when my dad would smoke him, we had a long driveway, so we did a lot of competition on the driveway. Basketball, racing, jumping ramps. We would use our driveway as a launching pad. And Xavier used to get smoked and be wondering, like, how the hell is dad beating me? Because my dad understood technique. And, you know, that was how Xavier had to raise his older brothers. He had to raise us under a competitive umbrella. If you didn't want to do something, you're not gonna hear the last of it. It's not gonna happen. So, God dang it, dude. These hoes are filthy. Finally got my glasses. But anyway, backflips off the house, backflip twist, front flips, anything my brother wanted to do, he could do it. He was an athlete of unproportioned, man. That dude was ridiculous, fearless. I remember one time watching my brother tell a guy that was messing with the same girl as him, and I've told this story. I was a kid on the bus, and I used to, you know, tell my friend, oh, that's my girlfriend, until one day this girl walked into my house and went into my brother's room, and I was like, holy hell, this world is too small. And I watched my brother one time tell a guy to stop talking about the girl and stuff like that. And the guy kept disrespecting my brother. This brother passed away from COVID, actually. And when I seen him do that, my brother told him, like, yo, man, I'm gonna tell you again, don't don't bring her name up. And the guy brought her name up. And my brother and them, they used to go to open gym and hoop. And he took the ball and threw it at this guy Ryan's face, hit him right in the face with the ball. They start scuffling. And it took a lot of people to get my brother to stop. And when my brother, my brother's kicking the guy in the face, and the whole gym is just tripped out. And the entire community, for some reason, they all stood behind my brother Xavier. Nobody felt sorry for Ryan. Everybody was like, Xavier told you. And my brother's the type, bro, like once he get going, he can't stop. And I think it's one of those, he likes the attention, you know, or putting pain on people like that. And so it takes a lot to get him off of you. And he's one that will run, like, you know, pull him away, take him to the other corner of the room. He's going to probably run right back to the person on the other side of the room. That's how my brother is. And so we were raised that way, to compete against each other. You damn sure ain't finna be crying. I mean, if you want to cry, I think Devin cried a couple times, and Xavier was like, man, get the hell out of here. Just wrote him off, like, get out of here with that crap, bro. So it wasn't none of that going on. I remember another thing I talked about in the last video was when it used to rain real bad, or it used to get real cold, we used to go put on all our jackets and play football. Once again, me and my younger brother versus Xavier. And we would, he would hit us like professionals, you know? And see, all of this stuff that my brother was doing, he was really making his skills even that much more sharper when he played sports, because he was always going against 2 or more people. And it was, again, I didn't know at the time that's what that was doing, but my brother became very, very fundamentally skilled in some ways. But he was raised during the And1 mixtape basketball era, so a lot of times my brother, he would fall into that category, which my dad could tell him, like, boy, what the hell you doing putting the ball in your shirt and spinning around, and you spin around on the ground, and you doing all of this between your legs, nigga, can you shoot? That's how my dad was. Like, he was, you notice all these people doing all this stuff, ain't none of these dudes make it to the NBA. Hot sauce and all these guys. And so we would be like, oh yeah, we see what you mean. But Xavier didn't care. Xavier was a glitz and glamour guy. My older brother was somebody that if you trying to convince him to buy something cheaper or whatnot, he ain't buying nothing cheap. He ain't buying nothing cheap. You know, and that was always like a silent war between him and my dad, where my dad would buy certain clothes and stuff like that, and Xavier would make fun of it. You know, dad gonna buy them old, dad gonna buy them cheap, them cheap shoes. The bottom gonna fall off in 3 weeks. So excuse me. So that was that's how my brother raised us, man. You're not finna be staying inside all day. You finna get your ass up, come outside, enjoy nature, enjoy the outdoors, and try to keep up. They used to make fun of me because I didn't go to football games and basketball and track. I didn't know what the hell I was watching. I was 13, 14. I didn't know what I was watching. So that always kind of brought itself up. Like, why you don't want to go show support for your brother? Why you don't want, I don't know what the hell I'm watching. You think as a little kid like that, I'm going to go to the football game and sit in the stands with my parents and pay attention? Hell no. I'm doing what kids did back then before cell phones. Hell, during cell phones. You go to these games and these events, you going under the bleachers. You going everywhere else with your friends, with your girlfriend or whatever like that. That is what it is. You know? But see, never mind, I'll leave that alone. They didn't do that with other kids that were raised in our home. in regards to, why you don't want to go to the football game? I just don't want to. I'd rather just sit in the bed, eat oatmeal pies, and sleep. They didn't say nothing to him. They understood, oh, he's growing. But when I was growing up, everything was, you don't want to show support. Okay, when somebody don't show up to your game, don't get mad. You know, that type of piss poor parenting where you're treating a young child as if they're a 25-year-old adult. You know, it's disgusting. But shout out to my older brother, man. I love you, dog. It came a time in my life where I just acquired so much wisdom that I used to try to educate my brother on certain situations that my dad didn't educate us on. And my older brother, because of who I was in school, he didn't trust anything I was saying. So I'm sitting here telling you about the ways of the woman, that he has, like, he has his mother's energy inside of him. And I would tell him all these things when I was about 19, 20 years old, 21. And my brother would just write it off as like, you talk too much. He knew I knew what I was talking about, because he would say things like, yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. Yeah. But then to him, it didn't make any sense to listen to me because I wasn't the good kid in school. So even though I knew what I was talking about, he still was just like, okay. Or like I said, had the nerve to say, I talk too much. You know, that shows me that, again, that you have a woman inside of you where beating you over the head with wisdom and knowledge, and like a dumb bitch, you sit there and say, oh, well, you know, you talk too much. Sounds like a nagging bitch. But anyway, like I said, man, my brother ended up getting in a position where he had way too many kids. Way too many kids by all these different, not all these different women, but 3 different women. And I tried helping him with that, but my brother's just very likable. Very likable. Almost to the point where some women can't resist doing that type of stuff with my brother. They just have to, you know. So I'm sure I got more to talk about. Gotta get my mind ready for work. Fuck you looking at, fag? I gotta get ready for work, guys. I'll talk to you guys later, or I'm out. Thank you.